morning, dear friends. Here's Dr. Ajanta. Welcome to Demystify with Ajay. Dear friends, today we are going to discuss on the topic working with time data. One of the best reasons to use pandas is its ability to recognize and manage time and data variables in the data values which we work on. So in this previous session, we saw some simple cases where the data was nothing more than the string labels and numerical values. And in reality, data can have many formats and dates and times are almost omnipresent. Dear friends, date, times are nothing more than the concepts of date and time with which we generally indicate a certain instance. So in the date on which we generally work, dates and times are reported as strings whose values have more or many different formats. Very often, depending on the country of origin or the order in which the years, the month and days of a data are reported. So furthermore, these value can be expressed by both numerically and literally. For an example, see here, dear friends, for the month of July, it can be specified as 07 or you can just specify it with a July. So the year could have 4-digit for convenience. Of course, it can also only report with the last 2 digits. So here if it is as 2023, you can just also specify the last 23. And additionally, these values are separated from each other by a wide variety of separators. So kindly have a note of it here. I have just specified the hyphen and here it is a slash and somewhere it is with comma and here, of course it is a dictionary. Just a second, I just to show something related with colons also. So see here, of course, here we just used as a colon. So, of course, there are so many, therefore, there are so many formats is there and it is therefore clear that it is difficult to have tools that are able to trace these values correctly. Well, Panda is a very powerful library in this area and it makes the work of data analysts a lot easier in recognizing and managing this data. So based on the already developed features of a datetime module of the standard library, Pandas have created a timestamp class that efficiently implements this concept of date and time. Okay, now let me write a series of example here and that is going to recognizing and converting dates with this timestamp constructor. Okay, kindly have a note of it, dear friends. So here I have just specified the date, today's date, 02 July 2023. So how we are just going to get it as like a timestamp. So see here, of course, 2023-07-02. And here in this case, I have just specified July instead of the month 07. So now if we just get, the same thing we just received. And of course here it is as like a slash. So when on just making this functionality also, it can deduce from this example here I have just specified that regardless of the format type, the timestamp constructor is able to recognize that it is the same date. This constructor is also able to work on numeric formats and not only with the strings. In case each arguments will correspond in the order of years, months, days and of course hours, minutes and seconds. So when I just execute this, so see here it is a separator with a comma. When I just execute this, of course we just get 000 in the set of hours, minutes and seconds. In this case, it is also possible to avoid evaluating the time arguments that have zeros as a value. So we can just skip that and of course we can just provide and when on just getting, the same time date. Dear friends, so far we have seen the constructor for generating these kinds of values. However, when importing data from external source, we will need much more to convert the already defined data than to build it. In this case, yeah, the pandas library provides us with the toDateTime. So to_datetime function. So which accepts as an argument a series of objects which will then be converted into date time values. Okay, first of all, let me just create a dictionary here. So yeah, with the dictionary, we are just going to make use as like a data frame. So see here, of course, we have the year, month and days as the keys and corresponding elements, which is the value. So see here, this is the exact data frame. And this exact data, yeah, it can be converted to date time values by using toDateTime function. So see here, dear friends, we are just going to make use of this toDateTime function of this df, that is the data frame. We are just going to pass here, and the resultant what we just get is, of course, it is in the format of date and time. And yeah, as we can see, the function has converted a data frame into a series of date times 64-bit, that is the values. And next, another possibilities is, for an example, that for converting strings that describes a date and a time, but their format is too intelligible for the constructor. Yeah, in fact, the to_datetime functions allows you to add as an optional parameter the format in which you can specify the particular formatting. So kindly just observe here, particular formatting you can just specify here. Yeah, of course, you can just specify the percentage yes for seconds, indicating the seconds, and of course, percentage y for year, percentage d for date and month. So many things are there, and thus be able to press. Also, by adding the optional error parameter, yeah, with the value rise, you will get an error message whenever the toDateTime function fails to place the string in a datetime 64-bit value. Okay, now let me just give here. So this is 2023 USA 3112. So 3112 and in the format of Y USA and yeah, D and M. So kindly just have a note of it, D and M. So here we just get it in the manner of, so it is exactly, so as we can see, it is possible to make the toDateTime function to recognize the single attribute of the data even in the case of strings that have particularly formats with additional text characters. So if we were to pass a series of strings in which one of them does not match the format, the parsing will fail and you will get an error message. Okay, so to avoid this, yeah, you can also specify the ignore option in the optional, that is as like here in error message, error parameter. Yeah, you can just also specify here as an ignore. Okay, let me just see it here. Yeah, in another example, it's available. Yeah, now first let's see again an example of data conversion here. Okay, and using the format codes. And yeah, we specified the series in which we have a series of strings to get it converted. And here the exact string, yeah, specified as like a USA. And when we just make use of this, kindly have a note of it. Yeah, also in this case, we use the toDateTime function, specifying a possible format that can interpret them all correctly. And here kindly have a note of it, but in reality this is not the case. Here kindly observe what we just get. After executing this, of course, here we have just specified the error message as this, and after running this command we did not get any error message here. In fact, we expected a conversion error since the second line of this series here, yeah, that exact series contains a strings that does not match the format entered in the date time format. Okay, and yeah, indeed, all the lines have kept the type of source data, that is the object. And another feature linked to the concept of datetime is that this could be strictly linked to the geographical area of reference, that is specific to a time zone. That is, some values of type timestamps also have a well defined time zone inside them. So to avoid a reference time zone to the value of the datetime, add the optional parameter tz. So here I have just specified tz. Kindly have a note of it to the constructor specifying the time zone using the specific string. Yeah, here we have specified the time zone here as UTC. Let I execute this, and of course, so as we can see, the time zone has been added to this timestamp and object that time zone indicator at the end of the time. And dear friends, of course, yeah, you can also make use of this one. Okay, so here when you just make use of in this function, so kindly have a note of it. We are just getting that Europe Stockholm time zone, which we have as like plus 000, which means exactly there is no longer than to the top UTC. If for an example, if you just specify anything related to that, so kindly have a note of it, it is plus 0200. So which it just means 2 hour longer than that of UTC. Okay, so the time zone can be also be added later after defining the variable. So for that, yeah, with the tz underscore localize method, you can also add the time zone specifications passing the relative strings as an argument. So kindly have a note of it how we have just made it. So to localize here, I'm just made the time zone to be the America. So when we just execute this, so kindly have a note of it. Here it is specifying as like minus 03. Minus 0. See, actually, we have seen that by sending a variable of type datetime to print, we obtain a string containing all the information such that date, time, and time zone. However, we often need to view and manage each of the individual item. So when we just make use of that, all this is possible. That is, of course, this numerous attributes that the time, that is datetime object has. So kindly have note this one how it happens. So it is providing minus 0400. Dear friends, actually with this, it will be possible to obtain only the partial information we need, such as, for an example, if the number of minutes, the year or the hour. So yeah, you can also have separated time for that. So if you want only the year, yeah, you can just go with the year. Or if you want only the month, only the date or hour, minutes, time, zone or second, whatever the thing. Yeah, you can also provide it separately. Yeah, seeing this system of attributes, one would be tempted to update one of them with another value. So, however, if you try to do this, yeah, you will get an error also. Yeah, I just to show you a small example here. So, see here, if I just specify t is equal to hour is equal to 12. 12, it is in the sense, of course, you expect it to be a hour zone of 12. No, it is not in that manner. So kindly have a note of it. We just get an error. Surely there would be an error. So yeah, to modify or to update this exact datetime value, it will be necessary to use arithmetic method that will involve another concept, which we just said TimeDelta. Okay, now let me just discuss on to that of TimeDelta. So kindly just observe here, dear friends. So this time deltas, that is date times or previous times to which a data can be assigned, and another concept of this time on which pandas is based are the time deltas. So that are the measurements of time duration. That is the time interval between two previous instants. That is the date time. So this concept is also fundamental to working with times and dates in a data analysis. So pandas actually implement this concept through TimeDelta, a class very similar to the one present in that daytime modules of the standard library. So this class also has its own constructor, so which we just specify TimeDelta. Okay, and yeah, and the definition of the time interval can be very simple and initiative. Okay, for an example, if you wanted to define the duration of the time equivalent to one data, that is one day, yeah, it would be enough to write here as like one day. So one day duration, how it would just happens? Yeah, it is of course. So in this case, if we wanted to update a daytime value, for an example, by increasing its value by an 1 hour, it would be enough to create a TimeDelta value equivalent to an hour and add it to the daytime variable. So thus obtaining the updated value, it is therefore possible to perform arithmetic calculation. So with times using daytime and TimeDelta together. So kindly have a note of it here. We are having timestamp and TimeDelta. So kindly observe how we just get it towards the output. So see here. So this is what, and yeah, proceeding to that, yeah, you can also be written more implicitly as like, so see here, this is our timestamp, and that timestamp, yeah, we are just going to add it with the TimeDelta, okay, and that is with 1 hour incremental, and kindly observe what we just get. So from 10:30, it just ends at 11:30. Okay, so yeah, another more formal way of defining time interval is to enter the relative amount and unit of time. So for an example, there is another way. Once again, dear friends, kindly observe here. Yeah, that another way to define a day and time is to enter 1 as a numerical value and use the optional unit parameter. So defining here as D. Okay, so define days as a unit of time. So if we just specify like this, kindly happen. So it is exactly 1 day. And yeah, using smaller time units such as seconds, the manufacturer will convert them to the larger time units, thus converting them to the corresponding values of days, hours, and minutes. So if I just specify here as like yes, yeah, hope I think you are able to observe it. Yeah, so these are also more complex way to define time intervals, which are useful when you have multiple units together such as days, minutes, and hours. Of course, you are able to see that, and yeah, I execute this, how we just get, yeah, we can see that the TimeDelta defines the interval and are useful for the performing arithmetic calculation on timestamp object. So kindly just see here, I have just mentioned 3D, but here of course it just gives us the result as 3 days. And yeah, with this, yeah, we have seen that TimeDelta defines time intervals and are useful for performing arithmetic calculation on timestamp objects. So this concept is even more explicit when we consider this example. So kindly observe, we have just specified 2023 Jan 01 and yeah, till 2023 March 13 or 14, whatever be. Okay, so kindly have a note of it. I'm just going to make the difference between these two, T2 and T1, and of course we want it in the date time format. And kindly observe, dear friends, to totally 71 days and here it is the time. So this exact days and time difference, yeah, we are just getting it. And yeah, we can see from the result, even by making the difference between two time snap, an object of type time delta is automatically generated as a result, so without using the constructor. There is also a data conversion from function from time delta, which is we just say to time delta. So I just scroll down to have a look of it here, to time delta. And in this case, however, parsing is less flexible than to daytime. So both are different. In fact, there is no optional format parameter and only the default formats that work with the constructor are recognized. Okay, now here I just create this series and let me just execute. Yeah, here we have the exact data with time delta 64-bit, and of course here we just get the exact extraction and it's all about the objects. Now that we have seen with these two things, time stamp and time delta are in pandas, let's take a further step seeing how it is possible to generate an array of this type of values in the simple and automatical way. So for this purpose, yeah, let me just have a small range that is data underscore range functions, which allows us to create a predetermined number of values. So here starting from a given data, that is given data is in the sense time stamp, and then defining an appropriate time intervals, generating a series of date time values or uniformly strategy. And of course, kindly have a note of it, dear friends. Here, it is possible to generate an array of 10 consecutive days starting from the specific day, yeah, defining as optional parameter. Kindly just have a note of it here. It is the one optional parameter D to define the duration of one day from one value to another and with periods. So the number of values to generate in this case, of course, we have the number of consecutive days as like 10. So kindly have a note of it that with the periods of 10, we are creating the data. And as we can see, dear friends, this date range function creates a datetime index object containing 10 consecutive dates starting from 1st January 2023, and yeah, it just goes for July 2023, first day of July 2023, and so on. Here we just go. And another possibilities is to it is to different two time snap, one starting and one ending as argument to the data range function. So here let me just have this exact range as yeah, we are having it in a difference manner. So here what I just specified 01/01/2023, and here it is 10/1/2023. Of course, we have a good enough of interval. And yeah, dear friends, if on the other hand we want a strategic time interval with different times, so we must explicitly specify it with the frequency parameters, or we could decide to subdivide these intervals by a certain number of parts. So in this case, yeah, we will use the optional parameter, that is the period. Okay, so now, yeah, for an example, we just go with, now we would like to create a timestamp array with the 5 minutes difference. So within the specified time limit, yeah, we can just specify here as 5t. This specific time limits, yeah, we will specify this 5t to indicate 5 minutes to the optional frequency parameter. Okay, now let I execute here. Yeah, here what we are just getting, yeah, might to divide this time intervals into 10 equal parts. So each delimited by a timestamp, in this case 10 is assigned to the optional parameter period. So here again, I'm just going to give you this exact structure. So in all these cases, we have seen that exactly. Let me just execute and see here. So this is what I just scroll above and kindly have a note of it. So in many cases, this kind of object is useful for building series or data frames. And for example, it is quite common to use these variables as indexed, both in the series and in the data frame. Yeah, so here we just go with that exact example. So kindly have a note of it. What we are having, date range from 2023. Of course, it is January 1 morning 8 o'clock. And next it is all about 1, 10 and 100. Of course, yeah, we can just create, we also be used to populate their values automatically. Okay, so yeah, let I execute this and towards the creation of series. And I think you both are able to see the exact both and its difference. Yeah, further you can also make use of the subdivided with this interval by certain number of parts, as like we will use the optional parameter period again. So if we just make in the sense, yeah, we just get a timestamp also. So here, of course, this is what the exact time, and kindly have a note of it about the each and everything towards the difference. Okay, so let we just have this functionality in a different manner. So kindly observe, dear friends, if I just get it done, what we just get, yeah, of course, we just get something related to the values, that is automatically we it is generated. And yeah, using this, it is giving the values as index, both in the series and in the data frame. Okay, and when we just make use of this functionality to a time related or to a data, important data related. So see here, dear friends, so far we have seen how date time data is generated out of this thin air to fill series or data frames. But most of the time, this kind of data will be imported from external data source like files or database queries. So in the session, we saw that there are many functions that allows us to convert this externally read data into data frame, and we will therefore find in our newly generated data frame one or more columns that is containing date and time values. And yeah, let I just use this. Okay, yeah, of course, we saw this in our previous example, the case of a CSV file that containing a column with string that express the dates here, that is the publication date. And yeah, as we can see, the publication date column of the data frame contains days. Actually, during the import, that is read underscore CSV, method was not able to recognize these values by itself and simply entered them with a generic object. Okay, yeah, even though that you can just get it done it with the publication data. So kindly just observe what we just get here. Yeah, almost the same. Okay, so one of only things, yeah, we have just converted to timestamps, and you can also use the to date time function that we already saw earlier. And yeah, we assign the result to the same column to overwrite it or to a new one. So if I just specified like this publication date, and if we just go for to date time, yeah, kindly observe what we just get. Yeah, as you can see that the exact data is now date times 64 bit. Of course, okay. So there in reality, this read underscore CSV is a powerful function that has many optional parameter, including phrase dates with which allow us to pass the column instead of the conversion passing in date time 64-bit. All this allows us to avoid carrying out this operation in two steps, and therefore without the need to use the two date time function to optional parameter presence dates. So under this you pass the list, that is, even if it is a single element, you pass the list of the index of the column to be converted. So if I just make in the same way, so kindly observe dear friends. So if I'm just passing only the exact third column, yeah, kindly observe what we just get towards to that of previous one. Yeah, we can see the dates were read as such during the import of the data in the CSV file. So thus obtaining in the data frame already a column with date times 64 types value. And yeah, dear friends, I hope you found this video helpful and insightful. So I have already provided the code used in this video in the description. And if you want to take your learning to the next level and join us on the exciting journey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next session with stay updated with the latest uploads. Yeah, thank you, dear friends. Happy learning.